In today's video, we are going to take a slight departure from our usual futures content and have a look at a topic, specifically influencing without authority. And the reason we're doing so is because you can have the best futures and foresight work in the world, but without a reliable, effective way to share those ideas and visions with other people in your organisation or across organisations, your futures work will never get off the ground. So today, let's have a look at influencing without authority, what it is and how you can make it work for you. First key concept in influencing without authority centres on why influence has become crucial in today's workplace. Traditional organisational structures where managers can simply issue orders are obsolete. In modern organisations, success requires working effectively across departments, divisions, and even countries. No single person or department has enough formal authority to accomplish significant objectives alone. Several factors make influence particularly critical today. Organisations are increasingly flat and matrix structured, less hierarchical than they used to be. Complex problems require input from multiple specialists. Rapid technological change demands cross-functional collaboration. Geographic dispersion means less direct oversight. And quality and service requirements really need everyone's engagement. The ability to influence others has become essential because formal authority is simply inefficient to achieve goals in today's interconnected workplace. Even CEOs must influence boards, financial markets, and partner organisations rather than just give orders. The reality exists at all levels, whether influencing upward to bosses, laterally to your peers and colleagues, or across organisational boundaries. So we're going to look at this model. This comes from the book called Influence Without Authority. It's probably kick-started a focus on that area, but it's by no means the only book or training material on the subject. So we're going to mix in some content from the book with other research. So the book's influence model is built upon the fundamental principle that organisational influence works through exchange and reciprocity. This means that people expect to receive something in return for what they give. A principle that exists and has existed across all human cultures and interactions. The model's power comes from its systematic approach to influence. Rather than relying on authority or hoping for the best, it provides a structured method for creating mutually beneficial exchanges. So the law of reciprocity means that when someone helps you, they expect you'll help them back in some way. And this isn't manipulation or blackmail, it's how human relationships naturally work. Understanding this principle helps you approach influence situations more strategically. So there are 6 stages and they each build on each other. So you start by assuming that everyone could be an ally of yours. You get clear on your own goals. You understand the other person's world. You identify what you both value. These are referred to as currencies. You build relationships and then you make mutually beneficial exchanges. The focus on mutual benefit is crucial. This isn't about winning at someone else's expense or a net zero gain exchange. When both parties gain something they value, it creates substantial influence and stronger working relationships. So the key to this approach to influence is to look at things systematically rather than haphazardly or make it up as you go along. So the Cohen-Bradford influence model from the book introduces the concept of currencies, and these are things that people value and are willing to trade for. Understanding these currencies is crucial for effective influence. The 5 major types of organisational currencies are inspiration related. So these connect to meaning and purpose. People who value these currencies are motivated by contributing to important causes, doing what's right, and finding significance in their work. Task related, and these involve resources and work assistance. So they include providing extra staff, expertise, direct help with problems or challenges, or creating opportunities for work that can develop new skills. Position-related currencies enhance someone's standing or visibility. So this can include recognition from leadership, challenging assignments that aid advancement in the organisation, the sharing of important contacts, or helping someone to look good to their boss. Relationship-related currencies strengthen personal connections. They include making people feel accepted and understood, and being part of a team. Building friendship and emotional support are key aspects for these. Personal-related currencies address individual needs and self-esteem. So these can include expressing genuine gratitude, giving ownership over work, and allowing people to stretch their own abilities, perhaps without the micromanagement or restrictions that they might normally experience. So the key to successful influence is identifying which currencies matter most to the person that you're trying to influence. Different people value different currencies. What works for a marketing manager might not work for an engineer, for example. You need to understand their world and what they truly value to make effective exchanges. Also remember that currencies can change value over time, and multiple currencies can be exchanged simultaneously. The most successful influencers maintain a diverse portfolio of currencies that they can offer. Understanding the world around you and the world of those people around you is critical, that many people overlook, and this can lead to failed influence attempts. So you must deeply understand other people's perspectives, pressures, and priorities before attempting to influence them. When diagnosing someone's world, consider multiple dimensions. In the organisational context, what are their goals and objectives? How are they measured and rewarded? What pressures do they face from their boss? And what is their unit or team's priorities and challenges? Personally, what matters to them in the workplace? What are their career aspirations? What keeps them awake at night? And what do they worry might make them look good or bad in front of others? Key relationships can include who influences them, who do they need to please, what alliances do they have, and who might resist what you're asking them to do. The key is to move beyond surface level assumptions. For example, don't assume that because someone is in sales that they only care about revenue and increasing their salary. They might be equally concerned about product quality, customer relationships, mentoring and development, or environmental campaigns. So people operate within complex webs of relationships and expectations. Understanding these dynamics helps you identify what they truly value and what you might offer in exchange for their support. Taking time to diagnose others' worlds not only helps you influence more effectively, but also helps you build stronger relationships by allowing you to demonstrate a genuine interest in understanding their perspective. So we know that we need to build effective relationships for influence. That's because people are more likely to engage in exchanges with those that they know and trust. The foundation starts with seeing other people as potential allies, not adversaries. Even difficult people may become supporters if approached correctly. Building bridges requires conscious effort and investment, and you do this before you need something from that other person. Key tools for this can be active listening and showing a genuine interest, always following through on commitments that you make to that person, being reliable and consistent, demonstrating your own competence, and finding a way to help other people succeed. Now, these require patience and authenticity. As one person mentioned in the book, you need to dig the well long before you feel thirsty. This means you need to take the time to build connections across your organisation before the urgent need arises to ask them for a favour. Remember that every interaction either strengthens or weakens relationships. Small actions matter, even those hellos and goodbyes, quick chats in the corridor, offering assistance, or showing appreciation for some work that they did can help build goodwill that becomes valuable social capital. So your goal is creating a network of positive working relationships that make it progressively easier to achieve outcomes through mutual support and exchange. Now, this requires moving beyond transactional interactions to building genuine professional connections based on trust and mutual benefit. Different people and groups value different things. Some care about resources and task assistance, as we've seen, others about recognition and visibility. The key is matching what you can offer to what they truly value. Effective trades require careful timing and appropriate matching of this value. For example, you might offer immediate help with a pressing deadline in exchange for future support. You might share credit and visibility in exchange for project assistance, or you might provide expertise or resources in exchange for the other person's cooperation. The goal isn't just to make one-off trades, but to create ongoing partnerships where both parties help each other succeed over time. So this requires following through consistently on your commitments, being transparent about what you need and what you can offer, and looking for ways to add value before you ask for help. Be ready to offer help or solutions before you start asking for something. Remember that the most successful trades are those where both parties feel that they've gained something meaningful. This creates sustainable influence based on mutual benefit rather than obligation or pressure. When people see that working with you helps them achieve their own goals, they become natural allies in helping you achieve yours. Organisational politics is an inevitable part of workplace dynamics, but it can be navigated successfully with the right approach and understanding. What you can do is to map the formal hierarchy and informal influence networks, similar to a stakeholder mapping tool that you might have used from some of the Futures videos that I've done. Identify key decision makers and their priorities. Understand how resources are allocated, recognize departmental interdependencies, and stay aware of ongoing organisational changes. The best approach is to reduce uncertainty and promote transparency. This means ensuring equal access to information, fostering collaborative work environments, and maintaining clear communication channels. When everyone understands the goals and has access to the same information, destructive political behaviour tends to decrease. Meanwhile, you can focus on developing credibility through expertise and consistent delivery of results. And this means you need to stay updated in your field, deliver on your promises, and maintain professional relationships across the organisation at all levels. Your reputation for reliability and competence will become a powerful tool for your influence. When faced with political challenges, maintain focus on organisation objectives rather than personal agendas. Address issues promptly and constructively, seeking win-win solutions wherever possible. Remember that the goal is to advance the organisation's interest while building positive working relationships. And this should go without saying, but always operate with integrity and transparency. Avoid engaging in destructive behaviours like backstabbing, sabotage, or gossip. Your long-term success depends on being seen as someone who can be trusted and who puts the organisation's interests first. Remember too that managing organisational politics is about building influence through positive relationships and demonstrated competence, not manipulation or power plays. Gender dynamics significantly impact how influence attempts are perceived and received in organisations. Understanding these dynamics is crucial for effective influence regardless of your gender. So some of the challenges might be that Women may be facing higher scrutiny of their competence than their male colleagues. Men may be penalised for showing too much empathy or for taking parental leave. Different standards might exist for assertive behaviour between men and women and how that's viewed. And communication styles may be interpreted differently based on gender. The key is to maintain authenticity in how you act while still adapting influence approaches to the situation. This means you can be aware of the organisational gender dynamics, but not be limited by them. Building strong professional networks that go across gender lines, developing multiple influence styles depending on your target audience, finding ways to demonstrate your competence early, and creating allies who can validate your contributions. So remember too that influence effectiveness comes from matching your approach to both the situation and the person that you're trying to influence, whilst also staying true to your authentic self. The goal is not to change who you are, but to expand your range of influence strategies. The most successful influencers, regardless of gender, develop the ability to read situations accurately and adjust their approach accordingly. They build credibility through consistent performance and maintain strong professional relationships across gender lines. Working across functions requires special influence skills because different departments often have different cultures, priorities, and ways of measuring success. Each function or department or directorate, call it what you will, tends to develop its own culture and perspective. Engineering focuses on technical excellence and innovation. Sales departments may emphasize customer relationships, long-term value and revenue. Marketing may prioritize market positioning and brand. Operations may put efficiency and quality control at number one. So building effective collaboration requires you to learn each group's language and priorities, to find ways to translate between different perspectives, to create shared metrics and goals that you both understand and can relate to establish regular communication channels, and to demonstrate respect for each group's expertise. Key obstacles can include the different reward systems or structures or policies driving conflicting behaviours. Geographical separation might limit your informal communication, so these chats in the break room or in the corridor that we mentioned might not happen in the era of remote working. Stereotypes and assumptions about other functions, these can be very pervasive. A competition for limited resources and a lack of understanding of each other's constraints. So there's some typical memes going around at the moment about product owners talking to their devs about how long would it take you to make our own generative AI model, one day or two. It's just a fundamental misunderstanding of what the constraints and realities of that other department are. The most successful cross-functional influencers act as bridges between these groups, and they help translate priorities and finding ways to align different interests towards common goals. So these people build credibility by demonstrating an understanding of multiple functional perspectives, whilst maintaining focus on the overall organisational success. At some point, you are going to have to deal with some difficult colleagues, and this will require a strategic and professional approach that can maintain the relationship whilst addressing the problematic behaviours. Rule number one is to address issues promptly rather than letting them fester. You want to focus specifically on problematic behaviours rather than making personal judgments or criticisms. When discussing your concerns, use concrete examples and remain calm and professional throughout the interactions. Ideally, choose appropriate private settings for discussions. Use I statements rather than you statements to avoid sounding accusatory. active listening to understand the other person's perspective. Focus on specific behaviours and their impact, and maintain a calm and composed demeanour. Rather than dwelling on problems, you should work collaboratively to find solutions. Set some clear expectations and develop specific action plans for improvement. Document interactions and agreements to ensure accountability and to track progress over time. Now, if this direct communication doesn't resolve the situation, then you may need to consider involving line management or HR, seeking mediation if available, continuing to work with this person but maintaining strict personal boundaries, and doing your best to focus on work deliverables rather than the personality conflict. It's important to remember that difficult colleagues may be dealing with unknown personal or professional challenges. Maintaining empathy whilst being firm about behavioural expectations can create the best environment for positive change. Successfully initiating major organisational change requires careful attention to both strategic planning and human dynamics. The process demands a comprehensive approach that addresses multiple aspects simultaneously. The first step is to develop a clear understanding of what needs to change and why. This includes analysing current problems, identifying desired outcomes, and creating specific measurable goals. The change agenda must establish both the direction and the practical steps needed to get there. Early coalition building is crucial for major change initiatives. This is sometimes known as forming a coalition of the willing, people that you can rely on to fly the flag for this change plan. You can do this by identifying and engaging with key stakeholders, creating a network of change champions across the organisation, and establishing regular sponsor meetings to maintain momentum. Successful major changes require embedding consistent and well-structured change management methods, creating robust coaching and training programs, and pairing experienced leaders with those who are new to the change. Clear and consistent communication is essential throughout the process too. Leaders must share a compelling vision of the future, help people understand their role in the change, provide regular updates on progress, and address concerns promptly and transparently. The key to initiating major change is maintaining balance between driving forward momentum whilst also ensuring that people feel supported and engaged throughout the process. When softer influence approaches aren't working, knowing how and when to escalate becomes crucial. This is beyond the problematic co-worker example we looked at earlier. The key is to escalate these issues professionally whilst preserving relationships and organisational effectiveness. So you should consider escalating if the problem exceeds your authority or expertise, if there are significant risks to objectives or programs or the business as a whole, when persistent challenges are remaining unresolved, and if deadlines or budgets are at risk. An effective process can be firstly to acknowledge and align on the problem, to clarify all the available options and their relevant trade-offs, understand different perspectives that are involved, choose appropriate escalation channels, and to keep all parties informed of the process. It helps to always assume good intent from all parties while still doing your due diligence. It helps too to frame escalation as optimization rather than criticism. Always document interactions and agreements professionally and focus on behaviours and impacts, not personalities. Remember that escalation is a tool for resolution, not a weapon. The goal is to achieve organisational objectives whilst preserving working relationships. Successful escalation often requires balancing assertiveness with empathy, and timing is crucial. You escalate too early and you may appear ineffective, or if you leave it too late, you may cause additional problems. The key really is to view escalation as a natural part of problem solving rather than a sign of failure or conflict. And when handled professionally, it can actually strengthen relationships by demonstrating commitment to finding the best solution for all parties involved. Trust is the foundation that makes influence possible and sustainable. Research shows that in high trust organisations, employees demonstrate around 75% less stress, more than double the amount of productive energy, and are far more engaged compared to low trust environments. Trust and influence operate in a virtuous cycle. Trust enables influence, which when used properly can build more trust. This requires demonstrating competence and delivering results, following through consistently on your commitments, being transparent in your communications, and creating psychological safety for others. This requires attention to multiple dimensions. So you have the interpersonal dimension where you have trust between colleagues, you have trust between supervisors and team members. You also have to have trust in the organisation's systems and processes, and trust too in the leadership's integrity and capabilities. And when trust is damaged or absent, decision making becomes a lot slower. People will withhold information and resources. Office politics can increase, collaboration will decrease, and innovation will be stifled. So trust must be earned before significant influence is possible. Leaders who focus on building trustworthiness first find their ability to influence grows naturally as a result. The key is viewing trust development as an active process rather than waiting for it to develop on its own. This means consistently demonstrating reliability, competence, and integrity, whilst creating opportunities for others to demonstrate their trustworthiness as well. Finally, we're going to look at self-awareness, which is a critical foundation for effective influence, because this is what will help you understand both your strengths and your potential blind spots when trying to influence others. Before attempting to influence others, you must be crystal clear about what you want to accomplish, why it matters, what you're willing to compromise on, and what are your non-negotiables, things that you will not negotiate about. Each person has natural tendencies in how they try to influence others. Some rely heavily on logic and data, whilst others focus on relationships and emotions. Some prefer direct approaches, whilst others will like to work more indirectly. Regular reflection will help you understand how others perceive your influence attempts, whether your approaches are working, what adjustments you might need to make, and where you might be creating unintended resistance. The key is maintaining enough self-awareness to notice when your influence attempts aren't working and having the flexibility to adjust your approach. This requires regularly stepping back to assess your effectiveness and being willing to change tactics when necessary. Finally, remember that influence is a two-way street. Your actions and behaviours affect how others respond to you. Be aware of your impact, and this will help you build more effective influence strategies over time. So that's been quite a crash course in influence without authority. I hope you found this useful and can think of some ways to apply it where you work. If you'd like more content like this or have some suggestions, please leave it in the comments below. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in the next video.